on our Sports Center special leading up to the start of free agency at 4 o'clock Eastern. The Baltimore Ravens announced via tweet. Via or via? Which way do you like better? Via. Commander Chief says via?
Via.
God,
Dang
really?
it, Teddy. I've got my two favorite people telling me two different things. Either way, the Baltimore Ravens have announced they're releasing wide receiver Jeremy Maclin. He is now on the market. These players are no longer on the market. Starting with former Jacksonville Jaguar Allen Robinson, intends to sign a 3-year, $42 million deal with the Chicago Bears, barring any last-minute snags when free agency opens today, according to our JoJo, who knows what's going on there. So Chicago Bears upgrading. How about wideout Sammy Watkins leaving the Rams, intends to sign a 3-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs when free agency opens. That according to Adam Schefter. Deal is worth $48 million with $30 million guaranteed. Sources telling ESPN Diana Rossini on that contract situation for Sammy Watkins. This number was also interesting. Paul Richardson moving on from Seattle, going to be a Washington Redskin. A deal worth up to $40 million, a source confirmed. Richardson has agreed to a 5-year deal with a $10 million signing bonus and $20 million in guaranteed money. And then Danny Amendola, who for the last few years had the old Ted Johnson thing going. We're going to restructure your contract, which means we're going to make you take less. Intends to leave New England and sign with the Miami Dolphins. He will receive a 2-year deal to still play in the AFC East and now play for the team he just scored against right there, the Miami Dolphins, as opposed to what he was able to do over the last few years for the New England Patriots. So we have Terrell Pryor still available. We have Mike Wallace and Jeremy Maclin still available as we continue here on the big board. And maybe most interestingly, Jordy Nelson still available. Guys, we know the chemistry that Jordy had in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers put a post on Instagram about how hard it was to see Jordy Nelson go out the door with everything he's moving. Coming back from where he's been, do we still believe Jordy can be that type of receiver going forward, Bill?
Yes, if he's in the right system, he can. Yeah. In the West Coast system, he's an outstanding receiver. Great hands, great routes, very tough. Not the speed he used to have, but still crafty enough to make plays. And if he's got an accurate quarterback who can get him the ball, he's a quality receiver.
He's visiting the Raiders today, right?
That is
Jordy Nelson.
Yes, but I wanted to also say, just covering Jordy Nelson, I felt like you could tell that something was bothering him from the standpoint of Brett Hundley really developed a rapport with Davante Adams. It seemed off after Aaron Rodgers went down, and clearly we talked about the connection that those two had. Bill mentioned it, maybe a touch off in terms of the speed or what have you, can still get it done because he's a precision man on the routes and he can be trusted by a veteran quarterback.
Middle of the field, right there on the logo in Green Bay. Play action, half boot, Jordy Nelson deep down the field. What you saw all the time was separation. That separation where he was getting away from that defensive back, that's probably not there anymore. But the route running Bill's talking about, do I think he can be a number one? I mean, probably not. You're going to come into a receiving core now. I mean, you're going to be number two. You're going to be complimentary, those type of things. When you get hurt, when you get older, I mean, I know this. You have to redefine your game, either at the linebacker position or especially the wide receiver position. I mean, finding different ways to get the ball, being more crafty, how you get separation with your arms, things like that if you're not as fast. Do I think this player can do that? Absolutely. I mean, he's a veteran. He's smart. He's crafty. He'll find ways to get open, even if that speed isn't there.
The football and farmer still has some seeds he wants to plant in the NFL. Bill, when you look at the contracts that are being dealt out to some of these wide receivers. Just going some of these numbers. Sammy Watkins, after a less than stellar year with the LA Rams, $30 million in guaranteed. You look at Paul Richardson, who sort of just became known this year in the NFL, a $20 million guaranteed, $10 million signing bonus. Do those numbers surprise you at all?
Yes, they surprise me, but this is free agency.
Right.
So craziness happens. They in no way indicate either past performance or perhaps even future performance. They're just a function of the marketplace. Sammy Watkins hasn't had a good year in his hasn't played a whole year in his entire career. And as you say, Paul Richardson is just a downfield receiver. So, but they're out there. Free agency does crazy things.
Well, you have money to spend now. I mean, with the new CBA, it's not so much about the cap, but also the floor.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you hit 89.9% of that.
But you know, Trey, you are worth what somebody is willing to pay you.
Absolutely.
That is correct.
And that is the same for your deal too, Trey?
Yeah. Hey,
I know you're a double comma man, but I just wanted to say.
I ain't mad at anybody getting their money. I want to be clear about that.
But listen, I talked to Sammy Watkins. We were messaging back and forth, and one of the things that he said, because I know we were talking about the injury history, right, Bill, just the other day, but he He called Andy Reid the greatest of all time, and he said, my best years are to come under Andy Reid. So that's what he feels about himself. He still has a potential. He's had, one 1,000-yard season in his career, 593, 8 touchdowns. Still was getting it done in the red zone, but hopefully when he's healthy, he can produce for Kansas City.
Coaches can put you in the right position. They can teach you their system. One thing you can't coach clutch.
Right.
And that's what Danny Amendola was. So that's why he's going to be missed in New England. I know they got Julian Edelman coming back, but from the receiver position, you're one hamstring away from missing 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
I mean, because that's how explosive they have to be. So Danny, that clutch gene, some players just don't have. He made so many plays up there in New England, he'll be missed.
To your point, is we're now inside an hour away from all of these deals becoming official. We're inside about 59 minutes, 29 seconds away from the official start of the league year. To your point, the reason he got the nickname Danny Playoff up in New England, his last 4 playoff games, he averaged 8.5 receptions, 106 5-yards, and 3 touchdowns.
He's also a very, very reliable punt returner.
Absolutely.
Extremely
and before he went to New England to be the guy to replace Wes Welker, we called him the St. Louis Amendolas when he was with the Rams because he was their one playoff.
But how much of an upgrade do you feel like he is over Jarvis in terms of what went out the door? Okay.
That's a fair question.
And what's coming in? Is that apples and apples?
No, it's not apples.
It's dollars and cents.
Because of age.
It's
because of age alone.
Dollars and cents as well.
Danny's close to 33.
I mean,
Jarvis
put them next to each other.
exactly.
I'm taking Jarvis Landry. I'll put Jarvis Landry out there. But Danny Amendola, he also, he's got that toughness that how many times do you see him go down, big shot, come back in, injury, come back, and still he's clutch. All right.
Jarvis is tough, too. He's had to deal with different quarterbacks. He's had to deal with different offensive,
Yeah, he just hasn't been in the clutch situations, that potential clutch situation that Danny has been in. Would he perform in that?
Your yards per catch is going to be down in the slot as well. So
the other interesting thing there is that the only reason that he went to the New England Patriots, they didn't think Edelman could be Julian Edelman, and now Julian Edelman has been Julian Edelman. He's coming back healthy, which made it understandable why Danny would be moving on. We still have all these wide receivers on the board beside Jordy Nelson, Terrell Pryor, Matthews, Wallace, and Maclin. Where do you think the next one off the board will go? Do you guys have any ideas on which one you like the best out of all these guys?
The guy with still, even though he's approaching 29, who has some upside is Terrell Pryor. Now, he's a very raw route runner because he came very late to the wide receiver position. Correct. He was a quarterback, and he wanted to be a quarterback, and he failed as a quarterback twice and then moved to wide receiver. But he can get down the field. He's exceptionally athletic. He's got speed. In the right situation, he can be a good 2 and certainly a desirable 3, and he's very good with the ball in his hands. The other fellas are really all on the back 9 of their careers.
But do you think Terrell Pryor betting on himself work?
We signed the 1-year deal in Washington.
That's what I'm, in terms of where are you perceiving him to go now?
You're correct, because it never fit in Washington. I mean, they tried to make it work, and for whatever reason, it just didn't.
To contribute, I see it absolutely a possibility, but when are these guys going to be signed? Do I see it happening right now? Because, you can see the signings that are happening right now, they've been targeted. Free agency is, basically it started, okay? It started.
56 minutes and 44 seconds.
The last day or so, it started, but these general managers and coaches, they have the players. Let's go get this one, and that one. I don't know how high those players would be on the list of teams right now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you're going to put these guys on this board where their priority would be in free agency, it would be down here.
Right.
They're not going to get big deals. And Jordy's going to get some interest simply because he's such a clutch player. But all the rest are late signings. They're looking for jobs. So
Jordy will probably be the first one of these to sign, and the other ones will trickle down.
I would think
as we go through the process and people lose in or lose out on some of these wide receivers.
Right now, this guy.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins, a tight end?
Yes, he's getting interest with Seattle. He's in Seattle right now. Obviously, he has roots there. When free agency starts, he is expected to be right there for his visit. So,
well, they need a replacement for Jimmy Graham, so that would make all the sense in the world. Okay, so here are the headlines for today. As again, we're 55 minutes and 48 seconds away from the actual start of free agency. Look, I want to say one thing here.
What?
We haven't talked enough about this one right here. I'm pointing to the screen on Nate Solder.
Finally.
The Giants are in.
Yes.
Look, 2 years ago, the most impactful, maybe not the most significant or flashy, the most impactful free agent signing was center Alec Mack with the Atlanta Falcons.
That's right.
They shored up that line and went to the Super Bowl. Nate Solder gets a 4-year deal worth about $60 million, and that has been a problem for the New York Football Giants the last couple of years. He will fix a lot of things. The other
in a
big news.
disaster area.